I wanted to share a couple cute little experiences I had that assisted me in putting together my the metaphors for how I interact with energy and how I unpack it, and kind of now it allows me to see bigger patterns. And the first one was when I had had my awakening. I was with a friend and we were meditating, and I had this pressure of energy that was swirling around my head, and it was going in a circle, and it was like it was being unscrewed, and it was suddenly getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it went up and out. And I was joking that it was like a phoenix climbed out, or a dragon climbed out, went right out into the cosmos. And uh, and at the time, I mean, I had no other language for it. I I didn't understand Kundalini awakening much, and so everyone experiences it different. It's through, you can always experience it through the language, through those neural pathways that you have open, and you're gonna, the light will come to you in that way, and that's your understanding. And but people get really fixed on their understanding and say, no, it was this. So what you want to do is practice hearing it in many different ways, right? So now it's like I joke, the genie doesn't go out of the bottle, because was it a thing that crawled out, like a did it was it like a creature, or could it have been my higher self, or that goddess of Deborah, the priestess, the bigger consciousness that climbed out and activated, and all of a sudden so yeah, it doesn't, I don't have to now pack it into any way. Or was it my dragon consciousness that now I can work with all the dragons? Because when I code with other people that are quite intuitive, I've had a lot of intuitives that are really good with working with dragons. Some of them are very cosmic, and I assist them in working with their cosmic lineages and their dragons and their this and that. And some will see me as a priestess, and some will see me as all throughout the cosmos, like Arcturians and Ontarians, and what are some of the other ones that people experience me as? I'll show up for them through the branch or the framework that they've got activated within them. Some of them will interact with my divine feminine emissaries, right? Some of them will, because that's the framework of understanding that they've got. So it's going to look a little different for everybody. So what I do is now just work with the metaphors of it, right? So it's not, gene E, and I always say gene energy, E equals energy. So genetic energy, that's the lineage that I had had. So how it opened and activated, if you are stuck with it using a certain, let's say one language, let's say Kundalini, right? And that's, maybe it's more of an Indian language that you kind of see it as, and that's your framework for how you experience energy, and you only use it in those languages, right? You're not necessarily working in your universal consciousness, which is where we want to, ideally, you want to expand out of human framework, all those, but see all the human frameworks as adding to the bigger database. So it's like, okay, it was this, but it was also this, and also this, and also this. So, yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. So expanding your light body, activating, a higher conscious within you. Maybe I was connecting more my higher, they say we have a lower mind and a higher mind, right? That sort of thing. Again, I'm not saying I live there every time. I have a human personality as well, but I'm allowing those languages to be real for me. So I hope that makes sense. So however people want to see it, right? Whether they want to say, oh, that's your angelic consciousness, or that's Christed consciousness, or that's your, what else could they call it? Maybe your observer, your monad, your oversoul, your, there's a whole bunch of language. Again, what it is, I'm giving it permission to work through me, through those pathways, because I'm not limiting it. I'm not shutting doors on any of it. And so when you play in that space where you trust that you're on a need to know, and your team and your spirit and your guides and your angels and, whoever you work with, they're going to give you the right information at the right time. And more often than not, um, I'm going to say I get the cliff notes. It's kind of like the snippets, whatever it is that I need to hear, but I don't go full on into any of the stories because I'm not meant to play too far into any area that there's a lot of dogma involved, you know. So that's the thing. But I can see all the pathways. I see all the branches, and I just send love to them all, right? So because I know there's aspects of me, not Deborah, but the one that is me in all those branches. So whatever soul fractal, soul extensions, whatever lifetimes I've had and expanded in those states, I'm going to just see them as and bring them light. And and they're not going to look like Deborah. So it's going to be, because we are the one expressing as the many, it's going to be all of us. So I'm not leaving anything out or anybody out or anybody's experience out. It's all there. So but that was, anyways, that was a fun one. But another one I had two gals sitting with me in a private session, and they were both pretty intuitive and some psychic gifts there, and one of them had experienced the codes, the light codes that were coming in through them for them at the time, and they were holding a beautiful space for each other, which is really nice. The one afterwards, when we were unpacking it, she said, I don't know why, but my team showed me this denim jacket, and it was like they were showing me all the sparkles on it. And she was saying it was like bedazzled or bejeweled or something. And I laughed and I thought, that's your um, um, jean jacket, but jean, Gene, getting lit up. It's like your coat of many colors, but you were illuminating, we were activating her light body. So they were showing her this bedazzled jean jacket, right? Which is really funny. So she had the word denim jacket, and I realized, no, there's a higher understanding here. So that's how our metaphors work, right? Is that's how her team was trying to show to her, because it doesn't necessarily have language for an outer membrane that informs your genetic expressions, or I don't, again, and I don't even, your DNA, who knows, I don't have the language for that either, right? So it's going to speak to her in pictures. And because our spirit doesn't speak English, or French, or German, I mean, it doesn't speak language, right? It's going to speak an energy. So when you're sitting in that space and it's doing its energy speak, right, it's going to show up for everybody different. It's what they're available for. So I just get it through my hands, right? And because I understand, that numerology and all, through palmistry, I've got all the planets are represented. So I can work with the different, we'll call it the orbits, the spins, right? The way the planets all interact with each other, all the constellations, the consciousness of all those planets are all within us, and they're all represented in our blueprint. So our template of our personalities are in there, but we can work through them and beyond them, right? So this is how we work our geometry, right? All the elements are represented in your hands, right? So our ancestors knew all this, and that's why the mudras, came about. And so it's not a coincidence that Christians pray, right? And they say amen, amen, but it sounds awfully close to right? And then you've got the mudras in all other cultures, right? Well, what is it about the hands coming together at the heart, right? Well, we know when you're trying to create heart coherence, and Dr. Greg Braden has some beautiful videos teaching people heart coherence. You're tapping your heart because you're bringing your consciousness, your awareness there, right? And you're bringing it love, and you're dropping your consciousness into that space. That's where I breathe from. That's where I expand my sphere from, right? So they were coming into heart coherence, right? Through those two practices, right? So there's probably more than that, but it's all about the balance, right? So our ancestors understood that, but it was through their metaphors, right? Because they didn't have they didn't have the science piece around heart coherence, right? So there's there's going to be a lot of different understandings, you know. Yeah, and even the geometry of the triangle. It's interesting. My hand's making a triangle, so I'm being shown that there were other ways that they did it. So yeah, so that, that's interesting. There's so many. Gosh, we've got all those pictures and the different symbolism and things that people used to do, and even like Da Vinci worked. He had that the triangle within the circle and all that. So a lot of his art had a lot of sacred geometry in it that um, was also speaking in metaphors, right? And that's all everything is. That's all. When people try to decode things, well, you're only going to be able to decode it um, in the way you're available, right? Because that left brain has a lot of filters on it. And if you don't believe in some things, or you've discounted other things in your life, or you've got, unprocessed shadow and wounds and, ancestral trauma in there that's still active in your field, they're going to be your blind spots, right? So you're not going to be able to pull light through those areas, right? So how you decode, I'm not making it wrong, but we know it'll flesh out a little further each time you go into developing it, right? That's the thing, right? I'm going to say the scavenger hunt, the game, this game of expansion that we're in, this empowerment and enlightenment, activating that light body. It's going to be incremental because you can't shock your nervous system either, but it's going to be based on your permissions, based on what you've allowed to be real, right? Based on where you've allowed light to go within you, right? So, oh, that's a beautiful little heart activation there. So, my head does a lot of steering with my attunements and coding, and yeah. So if my head ever does something kind of funny as I'm speaking, I'm not necessarily aware of what it's doing. Oh, there we go. We've got if you could see the top of my hands, you would know it looks like DNA. So, yeah, it's interesting because again, I'm not doing this from my personality level. This is what when the energy got activated through me, my hands just started moving all around in the hologram all around me, and that's when I work with other people because of that quantum entanglement or quantum, we'll call it an entrainment piece. I can work with them when we connect our higher selves, and they've given the permission for that entrainment piece, and then we can co-create and co-activate and co-optimize and upgrade and balance together. And that's a beautiful space. And we meet through the energies of our hearts, right? And yeah, but again, it's only going to happen to the degree that they've given permission, or they're willing. We've all got free will, right? And if this is too out there for somebody, and they haven't expanded enough to hold the light into the areas where they know that this is true and this is real, they might not get much out of it, right? So, but if you're on the fence, sit with it and ask your team. You can ask questions of your team. In fact, the questions are much better than affirmations. Just ask your team to bring you, what is it do I need to know right now? What steps can I take on my journey? And please show me, more areas where I can create light in my field. Please show me new pathways, how I can expand on my gifts and my higher communication, right? Those sorts of things. So, okay. Something's just being brought down into Gaia. Okay. Yeah, there's a big sphere right at my base, so it might be your Earth Star chakra. I'm just going to connect it. And merge it and harmonize it with Gaia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Feels like a really nice balancing we just got there. Okay. Yeah. So just allow that to play through your field and see yourself divinely tuned in, tapped in, and turned on, with your pillar of light, and I like that expression. I think it's Esther Hicks says that. And yeah, it's a very easy, clean one, which is basically giving you, I always say you've got an instruction set there, right, that you can work with. And yeah, so sending you all light and love. Thank you.